All I know there's nothing like getting together and honor and praise Most High declares. Feast days, let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. A memorial and feast days, and there's nothing satanic, no underlying plot to it. Kept by Yeshua, the disciples and the prophets. It's logic that the holidays is built on blood, homage and the devil, but we still give on love. A higher woke us up, now we coming together. This is our culture, finally finding forever. You deliver us from Pharaoh and cast into the deep. His captives drowned in the midst of Red Sea. Moreover, the angel of death passed over our doorpost. That's why we celebrate Passover. Christ was anointed, pressure on this Passover. His body for his burial, his last Passover. He told his disciples, remember what this woman done. Congregate, eat, sip of cup until I come. Feast of unleavened bread, remove ye, leaven ye, spread from your homes. This is honor and to me. 7 days to 7 weeks is the feast of weeks.
Shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Search Engine International. I'm sorry about that. I was just in the back of the studio before having a conversation with our brother Irritated Genie. Elder Rawchaa this evening will not be able to make the show due to some unforeseen circumstances. So brother Irritated will be back with us at a later date. We have just got some contacts from him before, and was having a conversation with him at the back of the studio. So we do apologize for that. Sorry about that. We just was trying to get the date sorted out. However, he did give me some numbers for some contacts that some people been wanting to have on the show. Dr. Omar Johnson, he gave me his number here. I'm gonna give him a call as well, and see if we can schedule him for the show as well, because we have been receiving a lot of emails to have that brother onto the show. All right, let me go ahead and bring Elder Gabar in. 1 minute. Elder Gabar, how you doing?
Shalom, brother. How we doing tonight?
Man, good. Was looking forward for the show tonight with brother Irritated, but I think Elder Rawchaa wanted to be here, so we just said that we're gonna go ahead and reschedule the show. Brother Irritated was okay with that. Very respectful brother. You were just in the studio, you're talking with him. You understand? Okay.
I know. Elder Rawchaa had a last minute situation, and I know that brother, Irritated Genie, I believe the brother's name is, has his view. So it'll be interesting to actually have the two brothers convert and speak in the matter. So. Yeah, absolutely. I'm fortunate. We couldn't hear the debate tonight or the discussion.
Yeah, I think it should have been more a discussion than a debate. You understand me? I think I think the brother Irritated as good. I think he's a genuine brother in what he's trying to do. And so I think it should have been more like that, man. And really, Elder Rawchaa was always emphasizing last week that we keep it very respectful, and we keep it, even though we're looking at it from two different sides of the spectrum, at least we can converse civilly, and come to some level of understanding, And the brother Irritated, he actually called in the show. It wasn't us that contacted him, and he was here before. When he was here about 5 minutes before the show started. So the brother was, kudos to him, man, respect to him, coming in. All right, so being that we want that discussion tonight, I was saying that maybe take time out and we could talk a little bit about Passover and what it is that we're doing in the different areas throughout the earth. If you get some of the bishops and deacons on the air as well to see what they're doing in their respective areas, and they could send out the information so that everybody, if people wondering where they need to go or what's the closest area to them, they know how to get there,
Yeah, well, the best way to resolve that is send a call the 800 number and specifically states which state they're in, right, and which will be the nearest Passover to them. I know we're having a Passover in New York, North Carolina, Michigan, Texas, Florida, California. I know I'm missing someone. I know I mentioned North Carolina already.
Right.
Atlanta, Georgia, I think I already mentioned that. So if you in those areas, or Arizona, so you're close to those areas, just basically state, I would like to come to one of the Passover if it's possible. I live in this state. Can please somebody contact me on my nearest, Passover, GOCC Passover. Also, Maryland as well. Also, I want to make a quick announcement that within the Maryland area, the deacon that is in charge in that area, because there was some confusion earlier this week that we had to clarify, the deacon that is in charge of the Gathering of Christ Church Passover is Deacon Amawala or Emmanuel. Brother Deacon Emmanuel is the person who's in charge. So if you haven't spoken to him and you in the Maryland area, DC area, and you have not talked to him, and you've been invited to an event that necessarily may not be our event. So you have to make sure that you're coming to a GOCC event, not someone else that may use our name or give you the impression that it is a GOCC event within the Marriott area, things of that nature, the Maryland area, DC area. So I just wanted to make that announcement. But if you want to come to a Passover of the GOCC, also, I think they're having something in Canada, correct?
Yes, Canada definitely, yes. Sorry?
Yeah, in Canada and also in your neck of the woods, in Europe, correct? There's in the UK.
Yes.
Okay, so they could call the number, which is 888-334-3330. That's 888-334-3330. 334-3330. 888-334-3330. You call that number, you announce yourself, you leave, and specifically for membership, fellowship membership, and also Passover. That number is not for personal questions. It's not, I have a question, what can you find in scripture, or I have a question about this, that, and the other. That particular hot number or 800 number is specifically for those that want to become members or require about a particular Passover and things of that nature, not personal questions and things of that nature. It's not a number for you to call if you're looking to flee or advise where to go and things of that nature. That is solely for those that want to be members of the church, and you're requiring for a deacon in your area or a group in your area. So I just want to make that announcement.
Okay. And right off the back of that, for here in the UK, if you're listening and you'd like to partake with our Passover or get some more information on how to link up with brothers in the church, send me an email at gocc144uk@gmail.com. That is gocc144uk@gmail.com. Alright, our as you know, Passover is not this Friday, but the next Friday coming, the 28th, sundown would be actually into the Passover itself. So we're going to be congregating from the Friday. Alright, we start off at 3 p.m. sharp. No Hebrew time, no Israelite time. 3 p.m. sharp. Alright? And yes, so looking forward for that as well. And also there's the new academy is out this Sunday coming. If you're not registered or been in the academy, and even if you have been in it before, the elders are bringing out new information. So I suggest you go back in or just send an email to gatheringus1@aol.com and just put in the subject box academy enrollment, and somebody will get back to you ASAP from the academy team. That's gatheringus1@aol.com and hit academy enrollment in the subject line. All right. Good information. I think this last academy went on a couple extra weeks. I think normally it's 12. They went 16 this week. I think it is this time. And
I think it was 13. 14 weeks. I think it was 2 extra weeks if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah.
2 extra weeks. This one and the new segments to the academy, the health segments. You have the news, Brother Mark with Sodom Watch coming in. So Elder Lawya with the Hebrew. So very very interesting. Somebody was letting us know that in the universities, all right, now in the UK, Elder Gabar, right. If you want to go to the university, right, here, you need £9,000 per year to do a degree. That's 9,000 British pounds per year. And someone was letting us know that in the theology seminaries, in the seminaries, they were playing Elder Rawchaa's breakdown of the Rawchaa deception to the students in the seminaries.
Okay.
And I'm like, look at that,
So they were actually playing Elder Rawchaa's video.
Yep.
Dealing with the rapture, and what was the context of the video? I mean, they were speaking about it in regards of talking for it or against it. What was the context of the particular?
I'm not sure if it was a for and against argument. I think they were just showing the students someone actually breaking it down, showing what it is, be it true or not. I'm not sure whether that was a for and against argument, but I know they were using it in the universities, So
well, we should look into that because we probably have some copyright issues. Yeah. Well, that goes to show you that's a testament to the actual product that the elders are bringing forth with the academy.
Yes.
That they actually feel that these institutions are using Elder Rawchaa as a reference point now to show you the caliber of his work and what the elders are doing with the academy. And it's only a small donation of $150. You could break it down to $50 a month, 50 until you pay it off. So that does help the work and help to support the elders that are overseas and doing and things of that nature. So absolutely, it's a giveaway.
Yes, a very small price to pay. I mean, like I said, they're charging £9,000 here in the UK for university per year. So if you're gonna do a 4-year degree, you're looking at 4 9s. What's that? 36. You're looking at 36 grand to go to the universities here in the UK. You understand me? So it is like, and I mean, what's that in US money? That's like almost double in the US, like 70 grand probably in the US to go to the universities here. And they're playing Elder Rawchaa's videos in it and his breakdown of the Rawchaa deception. So, unbelievable, unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So to pay $150 for the academy is nothing, And like you said, it's a very small donation for the quality and the energy and the effort that's put into the academy. We recommend everybody should go into the academy at least once. If you've not been in it, if you're a member of the church, go ahead. If you just join in the church and just starting to learn, come across our videos on YouTube, on our radio broadcast, go into the academy. It's much in depth, in detail. You get a one-to-one with the elders. Speak with them direct outside of the forum of like radio where you can ask questions and get answers. You get the PDF sent out to you, the PDF booklet sent out to you of each lesson, breakdown, the video recording you can have for yourself. I mean, it goes on. Elder Lawya does an excellent job with the Hebrew Academy. You learn to speak Hebrew. I think I was looking at a class online. If I wanted to learn to speak Hebrew, it's gonna cost me £3,000 to speak Hebrew. So, I mean,
and it'll probably be with the Yiddish, the Yiddish Hebrew, not the ancient Paleo.
Definitely Yiddish. So like I said, the work that goes on with the academy behind the scenes is so thorough, and it speaks for itself. It's a good investment for your learning, for your vocation, growing in this word. And you know what as well, Elder, I realize that a lot of people who come to the truth, right? The ones who like what I've encountered here like, you know, when I have brothers and sisters here who are struggling, like at the beginning, I always ask them, have you been to the academy? And, you know, it's no. Usually it's a no. People who struggle are usually those who have not been to the academy, you know, because a lot of questions get answered in the academy that you have. And then, you know, I recommend them for it. You'll go to the academy, and then after you've been to the academy, we can talk again after that. And usually these people, you know, they get that solid foundation laid for them, which is so essential to this work, essential to your growth, that you have a solid foundation, that you don't get, you know, as Ephesians 4 and 14 says, get tossed to and fro, you know, because you have the foundation laid. So, you know, the only way is up from there. You know, solid foundation, a good building, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's important to get grounded, and you got to put in the work. It cannot be spoon-fed to you.
Yes.
Okay, you know, you have to put in the work. You know, study to show yourself approved. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So yes, Allah. What else happening? Because like we said, no guests this week. So what else can we go into?
Well, what I guess I wanted to touch real quickly in regards of the Passover. You know, we usually get these questions every year because we may be in a situation that every Passover we always have new members, and we may this be the first Passover, and we the Gathering of Christ Church, we keep the Passover a little different from every other Israelite because we do not follow the moon cycle. The way it was done for many years, when we understood it, was that we will wait for the first new moon or dark moon when you cannot see the moon, and then when you see the first sliver, that was count the first day. Then you start counting 14 days from that, and that will be the Passover. That's how we should do it for many years. As you know, now we do it differently when it deals with the equinox, the equal day and equal night. Now, another issue that we're having, and I had a discussion with Elder Rawchaa I think 2 days ago, and what's happening is most people are going into websites that will either give you March 20th every year and March 16 or March 16 or March 17 every year. Dealing with the Gregorian calendar, which is 365 days a year and 366 every 4 years, every leap year. That is incorrect. Why? Because according to the scripture, the year is 364. So the equal day to equal night is in the cycle of the 364, not 365. If we look at most websites, and Elder Rawchaa is going to do an in-depth lesson on that. And I told them you must do this in-depth lessons, because what's happening is that most people are going to different websites and they're getting March 16 every year. And when you notice March 16 every year in the Gregorian is 365. So that will break the cycle of 364.
Mm-hmm.
So what people are looking at, do you have the book of Enoch with you?
1 minute, let me get it.
Okay.
You got enough of it. One sec. I've got this one here. Hold on, one sec. One sec, Elder, one sec.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Okay, what you want?
So let's go to let's go to Enoch chapter 80.
Okay. There?
Okay. Now, before I read this, I want people to give me let me your ear for a minute. When people that are in the United States may get worried with the equal day, equal night, dealing with the situation of most websites are giving you March 17 or March 16 and things of that nature. What you people need to understand is that we live in a different ozone layer, or a different time zone than the time zone of Jerusalem. Like right now, if you go to the temperature within the Middle East in that area around Jerusalem, it's between 70 and 75 degrees. When you right now in New York, the temperature is 35 degrees. In Florida, it's 80 degrees. And so we cannot go dealing with the standards of American time, New York time, or Canada time, or California time, because that's not the time that was established in Jerusalem. We have to go with the Jerusalem time. Okay? Now, these type of discussions would Enoch prophesies, or the angel prophesies to Enoch that these things will happen. And so we're going to read the scripture. I'm going to give you the understanding why we having these type of disputes and things of that nature, and why you cannot go by the weather. You know, it might, it was scheduled to snow, I think, this week. I think down south it was actually snowing in New York time, but in Jerusalem time they're not having that problem. So you can't look at the world from a Canadian or an American, or from this side of the world. You have to look at the world from Jerusalem time, which is a totally different time zone. But let's read the scripture to show that that's going to happen. You can start at verse 1, brother, chapter 80.
Okay, the book of Enoch, chapter 80, verses 1. And in those days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to thee, that thou shouldst see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heavens, and all those who turn them, their tasks and times and departures. Verse 2. And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened.
Now it says, and in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened. Read.
And their seed shall be tardy on their lands and fields.
So the seed of the land shall be tardy. The word tardy means it's going to come in late. Read.
And all things on the earth shall alter.
Shall alter. So you see that? So all things on the earth is going to alter. That's why we have these different weathers, when we're not supposed to be having these type of weathers and storms and seasons that we're not supposed to be having those type of weathers. Like, for instance, like snow in springtime. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to be doing that. Now, we got to remember, you also got the HARP system that they're messing with. Okay? But all of that is tied into that. Read.
Okay. And all things on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time.
And their time, or meaning their season. So we're going to be saying, wait a minute. It's supposed to be winter, or it was hot yesterday. It was 80 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Or we got a bunch, like this year, we got more snow than we had in years. Right? Mm-hmm. Read.
And rain shall be kept back.
See, and rain shall be kept back. Read.
And the heaven shall withhold it.
Uh-huh.
And in those times the fruit of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time. Fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. And the moon shall alter her order, not appear at her time. Verse 5. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening of the great chariot. Salakia. And he shall journey in the evening unto the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accords with the order of light. Verse 6. And many chief of the stars shall transgress the order, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the season prescribed to them.
You see that? So you can't get caught up with that. Dealing with the Enoch calendar. When you might come across like, well, it doesn't seem like it's getting colder or it's getting warmer. It looks like we have to look at these the calendar again. We have to you cannot be worrying about that because Enoch prophesied about this. Read that again.
Verse 6. And many chief of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and they shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. Verse 7. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them.
So that's why you could go into 3 different websites and get 3 different calculations for equal day to equal night. You see that? Because they err and they're coming across with different calculations because of their sins. The Most High has cut off that wisdom away from them. Read.
Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods.
And take them to be God. So you know what that means? Means they will err and they will say, that's where the tradition came that each luminary is a god and you have to worship them separately. Like the Muslims, the Arabs used to have a god for each day, a god for each element, for water, for sun, for moon, for stars, for wind, for fire, for smoke. So they used to think, okay, we have to then, all right, this year we didn't get a good harvest, so that means the God sun, or the God that's in the sun, or whatever they used to articulate it, is angry with us. So we have to do something to please that God. Okay, well the moon didn't, it took a different course this year, so she must be angry with us. So we gotta worship her now, or do something to please her. Read.
Verse 8. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as to destroy all.
Exactly. So, at the end, because when you go into Enoch 72, that's when the angel reveals to Enoch the luminaries. And he told them, do not deter from this equation. Because at the latter days, when the sinners come in, all the stars, that's why you can't track the year through the moon anymore. You was able to do that back in the days because the moon and the sun were working together, and with the stars. You see? So now that was lost, and we're gonna try to go back into that. Okay, we're gonna lose that. We're not gonna find our way back to the right year. That's why the Most High gave to Enoch, to the angels, this is your mark every year. Equal day, equal time, Jerusalem time, and that's a very sophisticated method to do it. And Elder Rawchaa is going to do a lesson on that because that's something that's even above my pay grade and things of that nature. That most websites are dealing with 165 lunar calendar. I mean solar calendar. Every website is dealing with because they're not taking some Elder Rawchaa is going to be doing actually what he's going to do. He's going to do an elder meeting or a men's class for the deacons and bishops. He's going to break it down specifically so then the elders could break it down to the congregation. I believe he's going to do it this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be able to break it down and we could say, you see, equal night, equal day this year. You see, equal day, equal night, equal day next year. Equal day, equal night the year after. So we're going to be getting worried because in the Gregorian calendars, it looks like we're going backwards because we lose a day every year. We're going to explain what that is. Elder Rawchaa is going to do a lesson. But you cannot worry about that. Why? Because the Most High, through the angel, warned Enoch that in the latter days, everything is going to go out of whack. So that's why he gave him a point of reference to start going forward. And once you got that point of reference, all you got to count is 52 weeks and start all over again. 52 weeks. Doesn't matter what it's snowing, raining, it's a hurricane. That's your day. If it's proclaimed that the first season after 52 weeks is spring. You got to count 90 days, 1 day to divide the seasons. That's a day that you hear in the Bible called the new moon, where it's really supposed to be the new month or the renewal, the cycle of the next season coming in. So you got spring, summer, fall, and winter. So it doesn't matter whether it's snowing in summer. It doesn't matter whether it's raining in winter and snowing in spring. We read it that everything was going to go out of whack. Why? Let's start from the beginning. Well, whose fault is it? Let's read 80 chapter 80, verse 2.
Verse 2. And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened.
Read that again.
And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened.
So what people don't understand, that humanity as a race, but especially Israel, we are connected to the earth and the elements.
And Elder, just to add to that as well, right?
Yeah.
Just to add to that as well. This correlates right back into what Yeshaya said in Matthew 24 verses 21, 22.
Yeah.
Set those days be shortened. Let me read it real quick.
Absolutely.
Matthew 24 verses 22 says, and except those days should be shortened, there shall be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So, same thing being said here in Enoch 80 and 2, that this is why the days are shortened. The sinners.
Absolutely, and because you're gonna find all kinds of weird stuff happening. You're gonna find that it may be 1 year we keep in Passover, and it's 20 below zero. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, that's
it's 20 below zero one day, and the next day is 80 degrees. You're gonna see that because it was prophesied to Enoch. Because everything is out of whack because of the sinners. So I just wanted to convey to that you can't be focused on the elements. The Most High gave you through the book of Enoch the cycle and how to operate when it comes to looking at the year and where to look for, regardless of what's going on in your surroundings, and especially in America, because America is wicked as hell. So therefore, that the elements of America is going to be a great deal of wickedness. You understand what I'm saying? So this definitely applies. Matter of fact, let's read that again in chapter 80 real quick. And
Book of Enoch, chapter 80, verse 2. And in the days of the sinners, the years shall be shortened. And something else caught my eye here too as well, Elder Gabar. When it says here, and their seed shall be tardy, and their lands and fields, and all things of the earth shall alter. And it's like, we've been looking at a lot of the food that we've been eating, and all of it is GMO'd, even the fruits.
Exactly. Why? Because what Esau is doing, Esau is defining the order of God. Yes. Because the only way for the land to give you fruit and things of that nature, you must be righteous.
Yes.
You see that? So,
yes.
Because of the sinners, the years will be shortened, and the seed which be tardy on their lands and fields, and all things on the earth shall be altered, and shall not appear in their time. So what they do, so they know that they have to be righteous to have a good what? A good harvest.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be righteous, the elite of the Adumians. So what they do, they want to override God's order and say, you know what, let's give you frankincense. They give you some, stuff that is going to define God's law and order of cycle and things of that nature. Like I want to give you for example, when in history, when they wiped out the Native Americans in this land, which is the tribe of Gad, and also a lot of them were also, believe it or not, some of them were also the Issachar, and also a lot of them of the Native Americans were also from the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, like the Navajo, a lot of them were Ephraimites. Okay, and they were and also the Seminole Indians, which are from the tribe of Reuben. Okay, they wiped them out, right? And then once they wiped them out, it was estimated over 100 million Native Americans, indigenous people, got killed and got wiped out. What happened? The land and the settlers, the European settlers, came here to start plotting the ground. And what's happened is they were receiving dust storms. And the land literally became desert. Certain areas in America you cannot even grow into this day. And they don't know even why. Why? Because all the blood they have shed in this country. So what they did, and when, and matter of fact, I should do a lesson on this, because I was looking at a documentary, and what they were doing is they had a guy from Germany state he created this contraction to try to present clouds on the heavens. It was like an explosion, and he came up with this concoction to try to bring it's like a rocket, and you blow it up in the sky, and clouds will come up, and it will rain. They were trying to come to some, but it was discovered that he was a scam artist and things of that nature. So many of them had to move to different areas because the land was not given their soil, was not responding to them, because all the wickedness it was committed in this land. So it goes back to that. Okay, so go down to verse 6.
Verse 6. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks. And
so that's why you can't. That's why you can't go, and that's under that information was cut off from us. That's why you can't be dealing with astrology. Why? Because you're always going to be off. You see that? Read. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. Okay, let me read and I'll say it afterwards.
Okay.
Verse 7. Let me read verse 6 again. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, as the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them.
So they're going to be, that's why you get different calculation depending on whatever website you may go to. Read.
Verses 7. The end of verse 7. And they shall be altered from all their ways. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods.
To take them to mean they're going to be like, okay, these gods must be angry of us, so we must worship them. Right?
Hey, let me show you something here as well.
Yeah.
Looking at. All right, and evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them, so as they destroy all. Hey, check this out, Elder. All right, not jumping too far off, right? But just trying to keep it nice and simple here. One second. If I find it here. Alright, bear with me 1 second. I'm just reading this here, and something just came to me. I'm gonna show it to you. 1 second.
Sure. And what the brother's looking, this was also prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter 17 in the scriptures. I'm going to go there, which reads, and let me start at verse 1. And thou shalt not sacrifice unto the Lord, thou power, any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish, or any evil adversities, for that is an abomination unto Ahiah, thou power. If there be found among you, within any of the gates which Ahiah, thou power, give thee, a man or a woman that has brought wickedness in the sight of Ahiah, thou power, in the transgression of his covenant, and has gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun, or the moon, or any of the hosts of heaven, which I have commanded thee, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and require vigilantly, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is brought in Israel, then thou shalt bring forth that man or that woman, which has committed the wicked thing, unto the gates, even into that man or woman, and shall stone them with stone till they die. So this was very seriously. It was taken seriously in the wilderness, and the Most High strictly commanded us to make sure that does not happen at all. And He actually prophesied that we would worship moons and stars and things of that nature, and also the Book of Jubilee. Brother Rawchaa. It's just, Shalakim. Okay, so let's also in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. It reads as follows: At last thou shalt lift up thy eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heavens, should it be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord our power have divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. But the Lord has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto Him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, Ahiah was angry with me for your sake. This is going into when Moses was saying that the Most High was upset at Moses because he struck the rock and didn't give credit to the Most High. So the nations was worshiping the sun, the moon, the stars, as Enoch prophesied hundreds of years prior. So, Brother Rawchaa, you back?
Yes, Elder, I am
Yeah.
back. I am.
Okay.
All right, check this out. So just reading this here in chapter 80, Enoch, right? Let me bring you to something, and tell me what you think of this. All right. Check this out. You know what's here in Enoch 80?
Yes.
All right. Let me read this again. Enoch 80 and where am I? And 6, right?
Yes.
And it says here, and many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and they shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. Right?
Yes.
So this is talking about the luminaries now, the stars not coming out at the time that they should.
Yes.
Now listen, check this out. In the same book of Enoch, right? Same book of Enoch. I'm in the 17th chapter. Alright, 17th chapter. And let me read, as a matter of fact, hold up one sec. Let me go straight to it.
Verse 3, I believe.
3.
And I saw the place of the luminaries.
Yes, the place of the luminaries, that's the one, right. But there's one here, I'm looking for the one where it tells you that that these luminaries were in prison for transgressing, not coming out at the season that they should come out. I'm looking for that verse here. One second. I'm just going through this. I'm just reading it.
And I believe that is when they were buried in the darkness.
Yes.
That's verse 6.
Verse 6. Right. And I saw, hold on, let me read it. And I saw a great river, and came the great river to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walked. And I saw mountains of darkness of winter, and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. And I saw the mouths of the rivers. No, that's not the one I'm looking for.
Okay.
One second.
But that you are correct. That is tied with the fallen angels.
Right, but check this one out. Check this bit out. I'm in 18 and 15. Right, at the end of 15 it says, and the stars which roll over the fire, and they which have transgressed the commandments of the Lord at the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed time.
Yes.
So these stars here, it's saying, let me read it fully for the listeners. I'm in the book of Enoch, chapter 18, and let me read it from verses 14. Just to bring something I was looking at. I'm just reading it here. It kind of ties it in. It says here, I saw their twin stars like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, this place is the end of the heaven and the earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. Yeah. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandments of the Most High in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed time.
Yes.
All right. So these stars are in prison now. Check this out now. Right? Check this out. Here. Going back to Enoch 80, yeah?
Yes.
Let me jump back to Enoch 80 right here. Enoch 80, it says here, and the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. Now, we see them going out in space, trying to communicate with these so-called planets.
Yes.
Right? Now check this out. Let's go to the book of Job. Yeah?
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm in Job 31 and 30. Alright? Job 31 and 38, sorry. Job 38, 31, sorry, excuse me. Alright? Now Job says here, in Job 38, 31, it says here, let me start at verse 30. It says, the waters are hid as with a stone, the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influence of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Now, we know Orion is like what they call a constellation, right? Stars. Now, they worship these stars, don't they?
Exactly.
As gods.
Exactly. They created these planets, and these so-called planets, but really what they're doing, they're worshiping these areas where the fallen angels were shut, were locked up.
Yes.
And because when you notice, these so-called planets were not mentioned in creation.
Yes.
But it was so-called discovered by the Romans or the Greeks, astrologers and things of that nature. They discovered they were looking to these so-called planets instead of calling them what? Gods.
Yes.
That's why I remember when they thought that Peter was Jupiter, I think,
yes.
and I think they thought John was
Mercury. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
Paul, two of the apostles, because they were we were. As was the days of Noah, so will be the days of the Son of the coming of the Son of Man. So the same thing that was going on pre-flood, okay, is going to happen post-flood.
Yes.
So that's why when you start dealing with the astrology and all the luminaries and the weather, everything's going to be all out of whack. That's why the Most High gave us a point of reference for us to go to. We have to stick there regardless of what's going on around you. Absolutely. Or what research you come up with. If any research or any website gives you a calculation of equal day, equal night of any other day other than 364 cycle, is incorrect. They're erring because Enoch prophesied, or the angel prophesied it to Enoch.
Yes.
So that was going on back then, before Enoch, because it's going back into the same situation, but it's also going on today, as the days of Noah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. I'm just reading it here, and it just making sense. Just looking at it here.
It's like I said, and I truly believe there's a lot more information that we still have not discovered. And it's also, that's why we have to be very careful with these websites and these astrology websites and these because Elder Rawchaa says that the best one is the Naval Observatory website, but there's a wrong way to do it even that way, and he's going to teach it to the elders, to the deacons, so we could teach it to our congregation. But the elders have to really do a deep study on that, because 99.9% of all the websites are giving you a wrong calculation. It's giving you a 365.24 minutes cycle of the equator. That is incorrect. You know, so and it's going to happen. So they're going to err because the same way when the Most High says, "Do not be dismayed of the stars of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed." So that's why you got to go into the scripture and have that as a foundation outside of any scientific website or information you might come, because you cannot even trust astrology today. In the sense of these websites, you know, the equator and this, that, and you know, we discovered this and we found that. They're going to err, as the scripture says, because they're gonna go out of whack. That's why the Most High made it clear to Enoch and said, "Listen, stay with the 364 cycle of the equinox of that cycle from Jerusalem time. That will never fail. All around the world, it's a different story, but Jerusalem is that place that the Most High used as a reference point for everything. So I don't care if it's snowing in springtime here in New York. In Jerusalem, that cycle is correct, and the Most High used that. And when we go back over there, we're going to see that. We're not able to see that now because we got a situation that, you know, when in Jerusalem, when the sun is rising, they're 7 hours in front of us. So we're celebrating the feast day 7 hours late. That's why all nations will go into Jerusalem in Jerusalem time and worship the King
for the feast day. Yes.
For the feast day, they're not gonna keep it in New York time, or you know, Eastern or Southern or you know, Mountain time. They're gonna keep it in Jerusalem time, which is the time that was set up from the beginning. So I just wanted to drop that in things of that nature. And there's other things I wanted to touch on also that people may ask. If the Sabbath supposed to come on, or if the Passover was supposed to come on, if the Passover was supposed to come on or Friday night every single year, and Christ kept those feasts every single year, and that was correct, because when you go into the scripture, says the acceptable year of our Lord, that Sabbath, that Passover was being followed on the day that it was set up from the beginning. In other words, people may argue, well, the Pharisees probably was worshiping the moon, or they were following the lunar calendar, or you know, because I have done research on that there were multiple different calendars depending on what time of the year you were following, because the Pharisees might have changed the order. That doesn't matter. Why? Because Christ kept the Passover on the acceptable year of our Lord. If we're gonna like for instance, I want to give you an example. If the Pharisees were keeping a lunar, it wouldn't have mattered, because sometimes in certain occasions the lunar lands on a Friday on regard to the Passover, or it may land on the day it's supposed to land. In other time, it land on Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever. That year, regardless of what calendar the Pharisees was following, Christ kept it properly as it was established from the beginning, and that would have been Friday sundown until Saturday sundown until Sunday sundown. So, therefore, you might come across, matter of fact, let's go into Matthew's chapter, the last chapter of Matthew's.
Matthew 28?
Yeah, absolutely.
The book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, and the angel of Ahia descended from heaven and
Okay,
came on
so it says the first day of the week, correct? Now,
Yes, sir.
I want to put something on the message board here, brother. For you could, I want you to open up that link. It's the Blue Letter Bible, right?
and give me interlinear Bible as well, please. Yes, sir, I got it here.
Okay. Now, the word there, the first day of the week is, what do you see there?
Okay, it's
In the
Mia. Okay,
Mia.
Greek word Mia.
Okay,
and
what is the definition for the word Mia in Greek?
Only one, someone.
Only one,
Only
someone.
one, someone.
Okay, now, how many times it was translated? When you look down, it says the King James translation, Strong's G3391, in the following manner. How many times it was translated for one?
62 times.
62 times. How many times it was translated for first?
8 times.
8 times. Okay, I want you to click on that on the first. And it should take you every single time it was translated for first.
Right. Okay.
Okay, what was the first time? It was, what time it was? So the word Mia, which does not mean first, it means one, only, okay, a certain one, because when we look at it also, when you, it was also translated 4 times as what?
One second, let me go back.
The next translation.
It was also translated a certain 4 times.
4 times. And then how many times it was translated? What's the next word it was translated? Like, 3 times. So it was translated 62 times, 1. It was translated 4 times, a certain. And it was translated 3 times as a. The only time it was translated with the word first was dealing with the resurrection of Christ. Why is that? If any other place it was translated the word a, one, certain, someone, those words could have easily had been translated. Now, let's use the word one or certain in every single time is referring to the rising of Christ. See if it will make first. Let's just use the word certain. Let's read Matthew 28 verse 1. See if that makes sense. Maybe the scholars had to put the translation first because it would not have made sense if you would have put the word one or certain or the word a in front of it. Okay, so let's put the word certain. Or let's put the word one day or one there first.
Okay. Let me read it. Matthew 28 verses 1. Now in the end of the Sabbath day it began Salakia. St. Matthew chapter 28 verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn towards one day of the week, came Mary Magdalene to the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
That makes sense to me. Not put the word certain or a certain day of the week. See if that makes sense from a English perspective, grammar perspective.
In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward a certain day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
They could have used that too. What about this? Put the word a day of the week. Let's see if that makes sense.
Okay. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward a day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
Now, makes sense. And when you look at every single time, and you put the word certain day or a day of the week, not denoting which day of the week, it was just saying it was about to dawn towards the day of the week, not denoting what day and number of the week it was. Okay, it would have not this Sunday worship would not have any strength at all. So you see the political pressure, perhaps, that, or the ignorance to some degree, or we don't really know, because as you know, they killed King James after the translation. They killed his son. The churches of England repacked their friendship with the Catholic Church after King James, and they took over the translation. So we don't know what eventually was translated, because it wasn't like the King James translator ran away and they came here to America and they found they have the actual original copy, or they make different copies, and one went to Africa, the other one went to America. It wasn't like that. The Church of England, after King James was killed, they took over all the records, and they were still independent from the Roman Catholic Church. However, when you go into history, they still packed. They still made a pact with the Roman Catholic Church, okay, and things of that nature. And when the issue that they were having with not translating the Bible into English is because of this. Because when you go into the Latin Vulgate and you read it in Spanish, it tells you in the dia primera, or the primera means first day. And they only wanted the Latin Vulgate to be the official version of the Bible, and they needed to make certain changes in the King James, okay, to keep the legitimacy of the Latin Vulgate. But when you go into the original Greek, it doesn't say first. Is there a Greek word for the word first? Absolutely. Let me find it. I'm going to give it to you right here. Give me 2 seconds. And Brother Gaja, I'm going to give it to you real quick. And I'm also going to do a lesson on this too. There were many. Well, I'm going to hold on that. I'm going to hold on that. Brother, open that up. See what Greek word is there?
Protos.
Protos. What is the definition for the Greek word for protos?
Protos. First in time or place.
First in time or place. Read.
In any succession of things or persons.
First
in rank.
First in rank.
Influence. Honor. Chief. Principal. First. At the first.
Exactly. So, if they would have put the word prostos dealing with the resurrection of Christ, then it would have made sense. Now, somebody might say, well, Elder, in Mark 16, the last chapter, when you read Mark 16, verse 9, let's go to Mark 16, verse 9, brother, real quick.
The book of St. Mark, chapter 16, verse 9. Now, when Shia was risen early, the first day of the week, he appeared to Mary Magdalene.
Now, this is the only place where you have let's go to the first day, the word first there.
Okay. For 1 minute, let me pull this up. Okay, 1 sec. Okay, 1 second.
Sure.
Mark 16 and 9, I am there. And the word first is, hey, look at that, protos.
Protos, right? Okay. Now people say, you see, Elder, you're wrong because the word protos is only mentioned once. But let's go into the history of Mark 16 verses 9 through on forward. Let me get it real quick here. Okay, I want to read this real quick to show you the deception. Okay, how far are they going to try to deceive people? Open that up, brother, and let people know where you are. You could get this ad. All you got to do is Google Mark 16, 9 to 20, added later, and all these websites will come up dealing with that subject. And we in Wikipedia, okay, but you can go to the subject matter with Mark 16, because the original Mark, when you look at the oldest translation or the oldest Greek manuscript of the book of Mark, only goes up to 20. Only goes up to chapter 8 or verse 8, Shalakim, in verse 13. So let's read real quick for people could get. This will be information you could relate to people if people want to bring this argument that the word protos is in the Bible dealing with the Christ, the birth of Christ.
Okay.
Or the resurrection of Christ, rather.
Mark 16, I'm in Wikipedia, the Free Encyclopedia. It says Mark 16 is the final chapter of the Gospel of Mark in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. It begins with the discovery of an empty tomb by Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome. They encounter a man.
Solomon. Oh, that's like Simon. Yes, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
There they encounter a man dressed in white who announces the resurrection of Yeshua, or it says Jesus. Verse 8. Mm-hmm. Verse 8 ends with the woman fleeing from the empty tomb and saying nothing to anyone because they were afraid. Many scholars take 16 verse 8 as the original ending and believe the longer ending 9 to 20 was written later by someone else as a summary of Jesus' resurrection appearance and several miracles performed by Christians. In this 12-verse passage, the author refers to Jesus' appearance to Mary Magdalene, 2 disciples, and then 11, the 12 apostles minus Judas. The text concludes with the Great Commission declaring that believers that have been baptized will be saved, while non-believers will be condemned, and pictures Jesus taken to heaven and sitting at the right hand of God. Most scholars, following the approach of the textual critics Bruce Metziger, why does this guy sound Jewish? Hold the view that verses 19 to 20 were not part of the original text. Textual critics have identified two distinct endings. The longer ending, verses 9 to 20, and the shorter ending, which appear together in 6 Greek manuscripts and in dozens of Ethiopic copies.
So the Ethiopic copies have a shorter version, which reads, and we're going to read this which is the most oldest version, which reads, and they're going to show it. They're going to read it or give you an example. What is the ending of the shorter version?
Right. Okay. The shorter ending, with slight variation, runs as follows. But they reported briefly to Peter and those with him all that they had been told. And after this, Jesus himself sent out by means of them from east to west the sacred and imperishable proclamation of eternal salvation. In one Latin manuscript from c. 430, the shorter ending appears without the longer ending. In this Latin,
so you got to remember 1611 versus 325 AD. We're talking about almost 1,000 years later, 700 years later. So there were certain things that were added little by little. That time, but in time, that by time 1611 came around, the scholars just basically translated directly from English into the popular Hebrew and Greek manuscript. If they would have gone to Africa and Ethiopia and translated from those copies, which was the oldest copy, okay, it would have been a shorter version. So, saying that when the word there, pretos, was put there by man, it was not put there by Mark. And the illusion or the belief, because during that time, okay, they were already worshiping the Sunday worship. You feel what I'm saying? So politically, it would have been smart for them to put their pretos, not mia, which was the original word. Every single time is using Christ's resurrection, it always put mia sabbatan. The word sabbatan means Sabbath or week. It is interchangeable. So mia sabbatan means simply one day or one day of the week, or it could be also translated as a certain Sabbath or a certain day of the week. That's it. It's not denoting what day of the week he was risen. So Mark 16 was from 1 to 8 was written by Mark. From 9 to 20 was written by Jesuit priests from the camp, because they did not like how it ended. So they just basically wanted to put a summary. So they took a little bit of John, a little bit of Matthew, just kind of put a summary, but they translated from a modern perspective. That was not written by Mark. So you cannot use that pretos, and that's the only time, and is the only, and all scholars understand that when you go to the oldest version of Mark, it just says that the women ran, they told no men except Peter, and it ended there. That's it. And that is correct. It correlates with that, because when they ran, they directly went to Peter. We could find that in the scriptures.
Yes.
Okay, so that will be exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you could I don't know if there's any more. You could just read a little more, and we could take it from there.
Okay. In one Latin manuscript from c. 430, the shorter ending appears with the longer ending. In this Latin copy, Codex Bobinis K, the text of Mark 16 is anomalous. It contains an interpolation between 16 verse 3 and 16 verse 4, in which appears to present Christ's ascension occurring at that point. It omits the last part of 16 verses 8, and it contains some strange errors in the presentation of the shorter ending. Other irregularities in Codex Bobiensis lead to the conclusion that it was produced by a copyist, probably in Egypt, who was unfamiliar with the material he was copying.
Now that itself is a lie, because we know it was not translated in Egypt. It was translated in Rome. It was the Catholic priests that translated. See, when they use words like probably, it's because there is a gray area, and they always want to remove fault from themselves. When you go into the Coptic Church today, or the Coptic Bible, they have the shorter version.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go into the King James, or the ones that were using in Europe, they had the longer version. So when the scholars was translating these, they did not know this information. They just translated from the modern version that they had, the original Greek, the Greek, which was because they had different copies from the original. Because back then you had the original, then you have copies from the original, and you take this, you have one copy and you take to this church. You have another copy, you take it to that church. You want another copy and you take it from that church. And what you do is, when you about to update or make a new copy because the old copy is getting old, you still preserve the old and use the newer version, but you keep it intact. And that's how they were able to keep the same records from generation to generations. Okay, so therefore, the King James translators were using the later copy, which added the longer version, which was more a summary of what happened. It wasn't. So let's read Mark to show you that the story does not correlate. It just basically stops and then it goes into different subjects. So let's read. Let's start at verse 6. So verse 6, 7, and 8, that's the writings of Mark. Verse 9 down is the writing of someone else.
Okay, Mark 16. Let me go there. 1 second. Mark 16 verses. You want me to start at verses 1 or 1 to 7?
You can start at verse. Let's start at verse 1, and if you like.
Okay. The book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 1. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him. Verse 2. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came into the
and here, what's the word there first?
The word there for first is...
And it's going to be Mia. Exactly. Yes. You see that? So that's correct. Because everything from 1 to 8 is on point. Everything from 9 to 20 was written by men. Not to say that what they were writing was off, because what they did, they just took different pieces of the story of Christ and what happened, and they just put a summary. But that was not written by Mark, so you cannot use that as a reference because it is not part of the original text. Keep reading, brother, if you don't mind. And Tom, what chapter you in?
Mark 16, and I am at the second verse 2, and I'll start verse 2 again. And very early in the morning, the first day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun.
So let's put the word Mia is there. So let's put the word a certain day or one day and see if that makes sense there. Because maybe that was the reason why they put the word first, because it would not have sense to put anything else. Let's try the word certain or one of.
Okay. Mark 16 and 2. And very early in the morning, one day of the week, or a certain day of the week, they came unto the sepulchre at the rising of the sun. Verses 3.
Makes sense. Read.
Verse 3. And they said among themselves, who shall roll us away the stone from the door of the sepulchre? So
when they were walking to the sepulchre, they were talking. I wonder who's going to be able to roll the stone away. They have not gotten there, but on their way to the journey, they were talking among themselves. Read.
Verse 4. And when they looked, they saw that the stone was rolled away.
And when they got there, they realized somebody already moved the stone. Read.
For it was very great. Verses 5. And entering into the sepulchre, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, clothed in a long white garment, and they were affrighted.
So all of this all of this is still correct. It's still scriptural. Read.
Verse 6. And he saith unto them, Be not affrighted. Ye seek Yeshua of Nazareth, which was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold, the place where they laid him. Verse 7.
So this is still scriptural. This all is correct. Read.
Verse 7. But go your way. Tell his disciples and Peter that he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. And he said as he said unto you. Verses 8. And they went on quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for they were trembled and were amazed. Neither said they anything to any man, for they were afraid.
Stop. So that right there was written by Mark.
Right.
And then the shorter version, it says they were afraid, and it said, and they told no man but Peter. That was when you go into the Ethiopic Bible. It stops there. So 9. Let's see if 9 continues. It continues the story.
Okay. Verse 9. Now when Yeshua was risen early the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils.
So this was written by man. All of this was written by man. So it was a summary. It was a base. Not to say they were. It was not correct, but they were. They did an error. They had a mistake with the word first, because they used the word Petros, which they should have used the word Mia. They should have looked at every other time when the word first was utilized, and when it comes to the risen of Christ, they should have put the Greek word Mia, not Petros. Keep reading.
Yes. And you can tell because Mia is used in the first verse of the chapter, the same chapter.
Exactly. So this is a quick summary. The person who did this is a quick summary of what happened.
Mm-hmm. Verses 10. And she went and told them that had been with him, and they mourned and wept. And they that had heard that he was alive and had been seen of her believed not. After that he appeared in another form unto 2 of them as they walked and went into the country.
So that's the time when he went and appeared to the disciples. Remember when he hid himself, and they was like, have you been, are you a stranger in Jerusalem? Mm-hmm. You not heard what has happened of Jesus of Nazareth being crucified. So what the person is doing is basically bringing a summary and taking all the stories that was collected in Matthew's and collected in Luke and John, and summarizing it all up. Read.
Afterward he appeared unto the 11 as they sat at meat, and upbraided them with their unbelief and hardness of heart, because they believed not them which had seen him after he was risen. And I guess it took this from Luke 24.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned.
And they got that from John.
Mm-hmm.
The last record, he says the same thing. They got it from John. Now, the only difference between this and because Christ repeat this story in all the versions, but they use the word nation. The Hebrew word nation, the Greek word nation, which means people, multitudes. Go and teach all the multitudes. And this particular time they use the word creature. It's a different word there. So further evidence to show that it was written much later by someone else.
Mm-hmm. Verse 17. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues.
And that's correct. That was correct. Because they took that from the other from Matthew and John and Luke.
Mm-hmm. Verse 18. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands.
Now this part, you can't find this part in any other part.
Yes. This is
not a.
Oh. Sorry.
This is referring to the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit, and also the day, when we would, the first part you could find that they were speaking in tongues, but that particular quote, they shall take up serpent, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick. That they took that part, and they shall recover them. So certain parts was kind of, it was basically a summary of what the bishop or whatever kind of put it together on his own. This was not written by Mark.
Yes, this sounds like a summary of Acts, to be honest.
Exactly, exactly. It took bits and pieces of different and kind of put it together. Much later.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you read 19 and 20, it's quoting Acts. It says, and so then after the Lord was spoken unto them, he was received up into heaven and set on the right hand of the Most High. That's all quoting different part of the Bible. And they went forth and preached everywhere, and the Lord working with them and confirming the words with signs and wonders. Amen. So this was put together by man much later, because the original copy that was found in Ethiopia, in Africa, because Christianity was an African, I won't say African religion, but it was Africa was the Mecca of Judaism and Christianity for almost 300 years after 70 AD, until the Roman started slowly but surely taking over it. So by 1611, Europeans in Europe they were taking over the entire religion, and thank the Most High for King James, because he was the last of what the history will call the Moors in Europe, holding on and resisting against the Roman Catholics. Okay, so like I said, there's so much history and so much thing that you have to go through to get to the bottom of everything, that it's when it says through grace we are saved, it takes a different meaning when you understand how deep in the hole we have been for many years. So I just wanted to touch on that. When somebody you'll be able to explain very easily that the word there first is a mistranslation. It does not mean first. It means a certain day, one day, a particular day, not denoting what day of the week it was, because it was prophesied that Christ will be risen on the third day. On the third day, we have all the scriptures to show that, and they kept repeating that over and over and over again. So therefore, he cannot be risen on Sunday, because you cannot get 3 days at a Saturday afternoon when he was buried, because he did the Passover Friday night. He was betrayed. He was taken by night. By 12 o'clock, he was by the cross. By 3 o'clock, he already died outside of Jerusalem. That's why the Jews or the Pharisees wanted to hand him over to Pilate to have him do a Roman execution outside of the walls of Jerusalem. And they would not take any blame or have anything. Their hand would be so-called washed or clean out of this situation. And this is the reason why they shipped Christ into Pilate, to give the illusion like it was the Romans that actually executed him. But the so-called Jews, the King Herod and his crew, and wicked Israelites too, was plotting to kill Christ. And that's why we went to 400 years of slavery, because we were being punished for those sins of our forefathers. So I think we could maybe open it up for questions. If anybody has any question in regards of the feast days, how to keep it, or what's I'm pretty sure we're going to do more lessons, but we could maybe open it up for anybody has any questions.
Okay, 1 second. Let's go to the lines. Remind the listeners that you are listening to the Search Engine International on Blog Talk Radio, brought to you by the Get in the Christ Church. Let me go straight to the lines. I think we have Brother Xavier here, first in line. Shalom.
Brother X, you're on the air. Deacon X.
Okay.
Okay.
Probably got his mic muted. We'll come back to him in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next call. We got Neil Kian from earlier. Is it Neil Kian or Milton? Shalom.
Shalom. How you doing? How you doing, Elder Rawchaa?
Shalom, brother. How we doing? Comment or question?
I got a comment, and I might have a question. I don't know, but I just wanted to say something real quick because I spoke to you. I don't know if you recall about last year, sometime about a year ago, or not, it was October. It was about something concerning like there was like some missing nukes or something, and you had a Karen Hughes on, Miss Karen Hughes.
Yes.
And she actually confirmed what I spoke to you about. But when we last talked, you left me on hold, and I couldn't reach you after that.
Okay, if it was a year ago, I do apologize. I'm not going to remember. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm not going to probably remember the conversation. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
It was during October, this past October.
Okay.
And Miss Karen Hughes had said something about something that happened off of South Carolina. They thought it was an earthquake or something.
Yes.
And
yes.
Come to find out, they found out what it really was.
Yes. I remember the show. Absolutely. Yes.
That was linked into what I was talking to you about, but we last left off. You left me on hold, and you never got back to me.
Well,
I don't know what something might have came up.
Yeah, I apologize for that, brother. But you was correct. I mean that there is an underground struggle whether the powers that be, you know, the American Illuminati with the Vatican Illuminati, and they're trying to hold on to their power. But we all know that for 1 hour, the 10 horns are going to receive power with the beast. They're going to, Rome is going to receive back its power, and America is going to be destroyed. So, but the American Illuminati they are trying to hold on to their power, but the time is up.
I just want to touch one more on that. Yeah, that sounds right too. That was righteous right there. I wanted to speak one more about that. Is that what Miss Karen Hughes didn't say is because she got her information from somewhere else. I don't know where, but she didn't have all the information from you guys. Okay. There's actually 2 more missing also at the moment that she didn't go into. I don't know why she didn't go into that. That's what I was waiting for her to go into that. And I wanted you to call me so we can get more on that. I know there's other people trying to get in, trying to talk. I wanted you to call me if you need. If there's a chance to call me.
So just leave a message at the 800 number. Just put which is 888-334-3330. That's 888.
Well, I had your personal number. I lost it.
Okay, so just call that number. I'll be able to call you back, and then
I lost it. I lost it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't call the 1-800 the 188 number.
Okay, so just call that number, and then I'll check the message, and I'll give you a call tomorrow, and we'll be able to catch up. All right, brother. Bless you.
Thank you very much. Shalom.
Shalom. Okay, let's continue. Thank you, brother, for calling, and please press number 1 to get off the queue.
Let's go to Milton. Yes. Let's go to the next caller. We have Rawchaa with a question. Shalom, Rawchaa. You are alive.
Shalom.
Shalom. How are we doing, brother?
Yes, the question that I would have to ask is the beginning of Christianity before Christ. Now, can I have like a geographical location of where and who started it?
Well, the Christianity started with Christ, so to speak. The church that Christ started, that started with him. So prior to him, there was no the people that the world called the essence, or the precursor. They were preparing their way. They were waiting for the Messiah and things of that nature. And then John the Baptist came from that community. So when you read a lot of their writings, it you would see or you would hear a lot of their writings, or you see a lot of their writings dealing with a lot of material or stuff that is dealing with Christ's writings and teachings and things of that nature, like the New Covenant and things of that nature, grace. So they're the precursor. They were preparing and waiting for the Messiah to come. But the movement started with Christ, which is that's first century.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then it was changed, and then it went after 70 AD. Many of the Christians ran into Africa and established different churches in Africa, and they were there for close to 300 years until they were little by little were being taken over by the Catholic Church. And they were different councils. The first council, the Council of Nicaea. The Bishop of Alexandria, Egypt, walked away because in Egypt was the headquarters of the Christian religion prior to the Roman taking over and moving it or creating a separate Mecca or place of worship, which was St. Petersburg, Rome. With what you call the Vatican today. But the Christians that were in Africa, different parts of Egypt and Alexandria, Ghana and Ethiopia, they kept many of the records, or most likely many of the books, things of that nature. Like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilee, and things of that nature. They still have those. Those churches were compromised much later when the Roman Catholic Church created the Islam religion in Saudi Arabia, and eventually started sweeping away into Africa. Many of those Christian churches wrote letters to the Roman Catholic Church for help, and the Roman Catholic Church agreed to help them only if they bring their allegiance to the Roman Catholics. There was a compromise that with the Coptic Church that they will have their own pope, separate from the Pope of Rome. However, that pope, it was just a figurehead. He's a puppet of the Roman Empire as well. So they were compromised and things of that nature. That's why you go into the Ethiopic Church, they will keep Sabbath and they will also keep Sunday worship. They will keep Easter and they will also keep Passover. They compromised, and that was the compromise. But right now, it's all corrupted now because it's all run by the Vatican.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you answered thank you, bro, because you answered the question that we need to know. We appreciate it.
Okay. Well, bless you, brother. Thank you.
All right, shalom.
Shalom. Okay. Thank you, brother. And please press 1, Brother Rawchaa, if I could take this cue. I guess next caller. I think we have area code 631. 631. You're on the air.
John, if I could give this cue. I guess next caller. I think we.
All right.
I think they got the radios on, so
yeah.
They can turn the radios down or.
All right. So let's try again. Area code.
I think they got the radios on, so. Yeah. They can turn the radios down or.
Hello, you're on the air. 631.
Area code.
Okay, let's follow next caller. Okay, area code 111. We got an area code 111. You're on the queue. You're on the air. You're on the air. Going once, going twice. Okay. Area code 267. 267.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Elder. How are you?
Hey, Sister Carol. How we doing?
Carol.
How we doing?
Good.
How we doing?
I'm good. I was listening to the stuff you were saying about in Enoch that things would be out of whack.
Yes.
I read today that the sun and the earth are pulling away from each other, which is increasing the Earth's orbit. So that could account for why the year has increased. If it's pulling away from the sun, it's making it a bigger orbit.
Right, and to some degree that is correct. However, they are alluding to the equinox. In other words, although the equinox from the Jerusalem time is not being affected, but it is being affected in any other place.
That's crazy.
So you're gonna get that. You're gonna get all kinds of things that different websites, and because the Enoch made it clear that everything's gonna be out of whack, and we're gonna err. So we're literally right now we are saved by grace, and we have to go back to our homeland and bring things back in order. So what we have right now, we know that the equinox from Jerusalem time, which Elder Rawchaa is going to do a lesson hopefully this week, is to show every person in the church to actually obtain that information outside of all the other websites that exist that just reflect the errors that the Enoch talked about.
Okay.
You understand? Because I have an app of the equinox app on my phone. It says that the equinox comes on the 20th this year. I go to time and dateandtime.com. They got 17, it's going to 18. So that reflects the luminaries that is talking about in Enoch. But when you go to Jerusalem and you know how to, and Elder Rawchaa is very close in that region. So he's able to see, because it was funny because we were having a conversation, and then I said, because over here people are getting concerned about the Gregorian and then we're losing a date and things down there. I said, brother, what's the temperature of up here? And I was like, and I was saying, because it's supposed to be raining, snowing next week, and or that we hear reports of this, it looks like it's all out of work, and we went to the scripture. And he said, you know what weather is right now? It's 75 degrees over here where I'm at. Which is is close to that that region between the Egyptian Nile and the Euphrates River, that's the time zone that you want to be in.
Right.
So that time is not affected. That's why in the book of Baruch, the Baruch asked the Most High, where's going to be the safest place to be in the latter days? And said, the land where you're standing, Baruch. So he was in the Middle East. He was in the wilderness in the Middle East. So that's the safest place. So, we're going to have, in America, and with these websites, it's going to reflect the confusion.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Go
ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Okay, so I do have a question in reference to the Hebrew language, and I know you've gone over a lot of this. Is there somewhere that I can go and read up on when they started adding not just the vowel points, but the sound of you, the oo sound and the s sound, like how they have Elohim when we have Elohim? Is there something like it's documented that we can understand?
On the actual Babylonian Talmud, in the Mitzvah, it actually says that, and they actually give credit to a rabbi, and I'm gonna have to get that information for you. And he lived around the 8th century, and they gave him reference. They honor him because through that system that he set up, or he began to set up, was able to preserve the language according to their understanding, and to better explain the Hebrew language to non-Hebrew speakers. So it has an origin and things of that nature within the Talmud. And when you go into any, either Jewish encyclopedia or any biblical encyclopedia, you go into the Hebrew language, like the Zander Bible Dictionary. You look up the word language. It gives you that history and things of that nature. But I'll find the name of the rabbi in which they get credit to. They started that system.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome, sister. Okay, thank you, Sister Carol. Can't wait to see you for the Passover. Please dial or press the number 1. We have area code 979 as Anaya. As Anaya has a question. You're on the air.
Yeah, how your brothers doing today?
Shalom, brother. I hope I didn't mess up your name.
No, it's correct, brother. It's correct.
It's Anaya. Okay. Shalom, brother. How we doing? You have a question?
Yes, sir. When you guys were reading Mark 16th chapter, was there a contradiction in verse 8 and verse 10? In verse 8 it said they said nothing to any man, and in verse 10 it said that she went and told them that had been with him.
Right. When you read Mark 7 and 8, which was written by Mark, the angel told Mary, the women, tell no one except Peter. So when you reading that, it's saying that they told no man except the people they're supposed to have told them. Tell the disciples and Peter, and they emphasized Peter because he was the head of the disciples. So they were instructed to tell no other man except the disciples, and they emphasized Peter because Peter was the head of, he was the foundation, he was the rock, he was the head of the 12. So that's what that's saying. Yeah.
Okay. And also I have one more question, brother.
Sure.
Can you give me the verses that y'all were going to in the book of Enoch? The chapters and verses, or just the chapters?
Yeah, Enoch chapter 80. Enoch chapter 80, the whole chapter gives you the understanding, and he gives when chapter 72 all the way to 79 deals with breaking down the luminaries.
Okay.
Right? And when you read the whole chapter, Uriel was always telling Enoch, make sure you keep that cycle. The 664 days in a year, 52 weeks. Because if you follow any other formula, you're going to go off. Because if you're going to try to follow the moon or even the stars, they're going to misguide you. And then he gave them that prophecy because of the sinners. In the latter days, everything is going to go out of whack, meaning the seasons. So it's going to be technically springtime, but it's going to feel like winter. Or you're going to have a week of winter that is going to be beautiful like springtime or summer, because everything is out of whack. So don't worry what's going on around you. Just stay with that cycle of 364. So that was the overall message. When you read, he was explaining to Enoch, and then when you keep reading, he also explained to Methuselah, which is the son of Enoch, and Enoch also explained and reiterate to Methuselah to keep that cycle, because after Enoch is when really wickedness started to increase in the world. Enoch was able to because Enoch was actually a king. And everyone came to Enoch to learn wisdom. So there was a certain level, although the fallen angels were already did what they did, there was some level of order when Enoch was there. But when he left, that's when hell broke loose in the earth. Okay. All right, brother.
Can I ask you one more question, brother?
Sure, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. In the book of Jasher is the Job that was given the Pharaoh the counsel on how to deal with the children of Israel. Is that the same Job that we read of in the regular Bible?
I know Jobab. What's his name? Jobab? I know Job. Is it what chapter is that? I think 63 or.
Let me see right quick. I believe it's It's like in the mid-60s.
If it's in the 60s, it's always best to before you always ask the question. Always have the chapter in front of you because it will be the best way. But if it's in the 60s, let me go here real quick, or the 40s, it may be the 40s. Yeah, you will have to find that to. Because I thought it was in the 60s. Let me go there real quick.
Yeah, it's in the 60s because it was talking about Moses and how he took the crown off of Pharaoh's head and.
You will have.
It's not Moses. It can't be because that Job was before.
Moses. Yeah, Job was around. Was around Joseph around that time, correct?
Okay. Job was closer to the children of Esau, Eliphaz, and them, which would predate Moses.
Right.
Away off.
Right.
So
you will have to find that. You have to find the chapter. I'll have to look at to know exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll find that and I'll come back into the queue.
Yeah, but if it's a Job advising Pharaoh how to deal with the children of Israel, no, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be the same Job. No time at all.
Okay.
So like I said, the captivity of the children of Israel in Egypt came long after Joab in the book of Job. All right. So it wouldn't be.
Okay.
It was early.
Okay.
It was around. It was in the time of Jacob, right? Yes. If I'm not mistaken, around that time, right? Right when we began to. We were still a family in Egypt, or we were about to go into Egypt. But Joseph was already in Egypt. It was during that time,
Okay.
That time. But we was not a nation yet, if I'm not mistaken. We was not a nation yet during that time. It was about, we were probably a very big family.
Because Joab took Jacob's daughter for wife, Dinah. So it wouldn't have been with the children of Israel in Egypt as a nation. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, we're very early on.
It's chapter 67, but you answered the question for me though, brother.
Okay, so 67, and it's dealing in particular with is Moses is in the scene?
No, Moses wasn't on the scene till a little bit later. In chapter 68, Moses was born.
And in what chapter is dealing with Job?
67. When Miriam was born?
Yeah, no, that's another Job. That's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely not the same Job.
No, yeah, that's a different Job. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, brothers.
All right, bless you, brother.
Bless.
Okay, let's continue. Please press 1, brother, to get up the queue. We have Sister Shirley has a comment and question. How are we doing, sister?
Hey, Elder, how are you?
Good. How's everything?
All is well. What I wanted to ask was, we were learning about the book of Job, and they were talking about birthdays, and that the children of Job's children, at least this is what, we hear, that some of his children, that they were having birthday parties and celebrating their birthdays when all these disasters came, or when what Job was praying for them that they didn't sin and what have you.
Yeah.
And so someone sent me a text message and told me that the Hebrew word for their day was not birthday, that it was different from the word that was in when, like, John the Baptist got his head cut off. And I was wondering if you had any knowledge of that at all.
I will have to see what scripture, what Hebrew word is there, to know exactly, but we do know that Job's family were wicked, and he was in a wicked environment, and he was trying to do righteous. And not only was he trying to do, he was doing righteous, but he was also being taunted by Satan. Well, that's why the Hebrews recorded his life as a testimony how righteous he was. Although he was not he was a Hebrew Edomite because he was from the clan of Edom. So his brethren kept a testimony of Job because what happened and what he did and things of that nature. So whatever went down and if that word birthday maybe was translated into birthday, but it could have been some other pagan thing unrelated to birthday. So I would have to literally see the word there to know exactly what they were doing exactly.
Okay, because I know it was talking about their day, you know, and I just was, you know, kind of interested in that. I mean, basically, when you look at some of these worldly parties, we certainly don't want to go to any of those anyway, but it just, the person that was talking to me was trying to confirm that, you know, birthdays really shouldn't be celebrated. Now, I do know that cake and all that stuff is to the Queen of Heaven, and the candles and all of that stuff is demonic. I do know that. So, but I just wanted to basically get a little more information on it.
Yeah, and we're looking into that as well, because if you calculate the Gregorian calendar, which is 365, 366, depending every leap year, and you're going on your birthday, and your cycle is supposed to be what, 364?
Right.
So therefore, depending on your birthday, technically supposed to be a day earlier from every birthday. Like my birthday is July 16th.
Oh, that's funny. So I'm only 14, in other words, huh?
Right. So it's you know, if you're gonna go to the calculation, that's why the Most High in the scripture says that, you know, that the Prince of Darkness was trying to change times and laws and dates. So everything is all discombobulated.
You know, it's funny you would say that, you know, Elder. When was it? Last year it was when we just started when we just started to learn about the times and all that and the years. I actually went back and checked my birthday as well. And the time I was born, so no, my birthday would actually be, because I was born in January. Yeah. My birthday would actually be in the early part of December, going into November. If on a 360-day year, 364-year cycle, that means every, you know. So I'm technically a couple of months older than. Oh,
so we older than we think. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm not excited about that answer, Elder Geiger.
That's So we older than we think, huh? That's not nice.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. That's kind of all I got. And
I mean, you know, they're going back to the question you were saying, sister. You are correct. There is some scriptures that during the time of, like, for instance, when Abraham's son Isaac was weaned from his mother, he had a feast. Right. You know, when Christ was 12, he went to Jerusalem. You know, and these type of things. I think with us, it wasn't a yearly thing. I think it was a certain increments of your life that we felt that was important.
I see.
You know, when you wean off your mother's milk, which I forget. I think is it what, 2 or 3 or. You know, I don't know what year or exactly, 3 years maybe. I don't know how long can a woman breastfeed? I forget.
You know, they can breastfeed until the milk stops coming, you know. But
okay.
You know, usually it's somewhere around that age.
Around 3 or 4.
3 years. And what are you talking?
It was
3 years, yes.
3 years. So maybe 3 years. There, you know, we could throw a party, a feast like Abraham did. The age of 12, which is the age of accountability. That's what, you know. That's what the so-called Jews get the bar mitzvah from, and things of that nature. So that's something we could do, but everything has to be dealing with the scripture. So at age 12, you got to sit down with your child and be like, okay, you're not innocent anymore.
Yeah.
Next year, you're going to get baptized. You got to understand what that means. You know, and if we're going to do any celebration, it should be geared towards spiritual things, not worldly things.
But you know, Elder, it seems like it was always for the male child. Does that go for the female child? I mean, I know that the so-called Jews threw in the bat mitzvahs and stuff like that, but, you know, I don't know that there's anything in there when I mean, I guess we could come up with some stuff, too.
Exactly. See, what do we have to understand? As Hebrews, we are Hebrews. We don't have to wait. This is our culture.
This is true. This is true. Like when a woman becomes of her flowers, you could certainly.
Exactly. So we could come among ourselves and go into the Scripture, to the Spirit of Christ, and say, okay, this is how we're going to do traditionally. So, you know, when kids, you know, hit the age of 12, and they're going to get baptized that year, we're going to throw a party. We're gonna, you know, we'll throw a party, but it's going to be in righteousness. Okay, you're going to go up. You got to memorize the 10 Commandments. You got to remember the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew and the 10 Commandments. You gotta make a declaration that you're gonna live for the Most High, and we will take that young man or woman and take them to the water, baptize them. We'll get some food and we celebrate that this young man is giving or woman is giving her life or their life to Christ. We could do that because we Hebrews, we could sit about tradition as long as it's Christ and the Most High is in the middle of it. Is holy.
But you know what, Elder? There are so many holy days that we haven't quite put in gear to honor. The four moons, the 4 months, the 4 seasons that we have to honor.
Yeah.
You know, the New Year. We haven't even figured out how to do that correct yet. So even the Sabbath is supposed to be a feast every Saturday. So
every Friday night.
Right.
Every Friday night we're supposed to have a feast. Absolutely. So
I'm not sure we have time or money, you know, to do anything else.
Exactly. I mean, it's we do the best that you can, and really, if you could start with your family, each family do it in their house.
Right.
Okay, tonight, turn off the television. Tonight we're gonna have a feast. We're gonna have a get together. But see, because we do this all the time in the world.
Right.
Hey, they're having a baby shower Saturday. Now I'm going to my. You know, we do that all the time. So we could do that with our Hebrew culture.
Yes.
You know, so absolutely.
Thanks so much, Elder. And, you know, I just want to let you know, I didn't get to service last weekend, but I do want to be in the academy this week. So, you know.
Okay. I got you. We'll work it out. And also, this weekend, I don't know, will you be able to come this weekend? I don't know. You.
Oh yeah, that's my plan. I'll be there.
Okay, but because we're gonna line up we may do a little rehearsal. We having the brothers doing the drums, and then Josh is gonna be there. So we just want to line up who's gonna do what, and just do a quick, mic check, so to speak. Spiritual mic check, before the feast.
Okay, all right. Take care, Elder.
Bless you.
You guys then. All right.
Okay, thank you, sister, and please press number 1 to get up the queue. And we have Brother Ben. Brother Ben, you're on the air. 777, Brother Ben, you're on the air. Going once, Brother Ben, B-E-N. Ask a question. Okay, going once, twice. All right. All right, you at area code 424. Hadron, A-H-R-O-N. That's a question. You on the air? Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Shalom.
Hey.
How we doing?
Hey, shalom, brother.
You on the air? Live. You have a question or comment?
Oh yeah, I wanted you to I was doing a virgin birth today, and I want to know if you could break down the scripture on Matthew chapter 1 verse 25.
Okay, let's go there. Brother Gaja? Well, I got it. Let me open it up real quick. Okay. Matthews is written from the perspective after Joseph and Mary were already recognized as husband and wife. So let me read it. I'm going to start at verse 16. It says, "And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Yeshua, who is called Christ." So at this point, you have to go from the perspective they're already husband and wife. They're already laid. And then it's explaining how, or the condition of how Christ was born, which reads, and so the generation of Abraham to David was 14th generation, and from David until the carrying away into Babylon, a 14th generation, and from the captivity away into Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations. And the birth of Christ, Yeshua, was this ways. When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, meaning they were engaged to get together, behold, before they came together, she was found with the child of the Holy Spirit, meaning she was already pregnant with the child. Joseph already have laid with her. And the reason why we know that is because the next chapter it says, then Joseph, her husband. So that is dealing with the understanding that he was already a husband, and the only way a man could be called a woman's husband, they must have laid together prior to the wedding. So what they had, what you would consider pre-marriage relations, if you say it, because during that time that we used to, before you lay with the woman, you must first, they used to have a wedding. They will go and you can find that, I believe, in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. And let me just put this on mute 2 seconds. And if you go into the 22nd chapter, I believe in Deuteronomy, it gives you the Hebrew wedding, which is the man will lay with the wife. The wife would bleed on the sheet. That sheet will be given into the father. The father-in-law, as evidence there was a righteous exchange, and then they have a wedding. Joseph already lay with Mary because in this particular encounter, he was already being called her husband, which reads, and Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not wanting to make her a public example. Why? Because if they would have laid together, blood would have come out the sheet. He would not have given the father a token of the righteous exchange, and they would have ridiculed her, and then eventually they would have probably stoned her, thinking that she had relations with someone else, or he will have to explain what happened to the situation that she was already laying with Joseph before they came together in the wedding. It says, and not wanting to make her a public example, he was minded to put her away privately. So he was minded to put her away privately as a wife. Now, if he was not married to her, that means he would not have the authority to put her away. Okay? But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take thee Mary, thou wife. And how does a man become a husband to a wife? They lay together. And the reason why, don't be afraid to take her. Don't be afraid to take your wife. Why? Because for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. So that's the breakdown of that understanding. The word virgin just simply means maiden, means someone, which means a young woman. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I have one more question. How can we go? Where in the book of Enoch it tells us to not go by the new moon?
You have to go into Enoch 70. Let me go here real quick. Enoch is 72. Matter of fact, let me see. You could talk Enoch 72, verse 32. Brother God, you have that with you? If you don't mind.
1 second, let me grab up my Enoch again. And also to the brother, the book of Luke.
I'm here, brother.
Yes, the book of Luke. Okay, Luke's account actually comes before Matthew's account.
Right.
They deliberately put it that way in the Bible to throw you off. As in, because right through the book of Luke, Mary is never mentioned as Joseph's wife.
Exactly. Right. She wasn't married. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Because they were
betrothed.
They were betrothed. She has not met him yet.
Yes.
But in Matthew's, they already have met, and they already. That's why it says, "Don't be afraid to take your wife. Don't be afraid to marry your wife, because that was conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit." So the only way that he would have known her or got to know that she has a child is because he impregnated her. But he was worried to make her a public example. To people start talking about her. Well, I heard that the night that Miriam was laid with Joseph, there was no token of virginity, and the father was angry, and so that he didn't want that criticism to be happening or occurring with Mary. Okay, but when you go into the prophecy of Christ, like I'm going to give you for an example. Have you read Matthew chapter 1, verse 1?
Yes, with the lineage of Christ. Yeah.
Right. So it says. So this is the
generation from the seed of King David. Exactly.
So who was the seed? Who was the seed of King David? Joseph.
Joseph.
Exactly. So
and then Joseph was from the tribe of Judah, and Christ was also from the tribe of Judah. So you have to get that seed from the kings.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm good. I'm cool on that. I'm good on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So
now the new moon.
The new moon. Go to Enoch 72. You can read the whole chapter, but the key point, you go to 72 verse 32. Let me start. It says, and on that day, the night decree among 9 parts, and the day is 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly to 3. The year is days 364 days, and the length of the year and of the night, the length of the day and of the night, is the shortness of the day and the night arises, though the course of the sun, this dispensation are made. So meaning you have to, and when you go to 35, it says, and this is the law in the course of the sun, and shall return as often as it returns 60 times, and rising in the great luminary, which is the sun, which is named the sun forever and ever. And when you jump down to verse 68, let me go there real quick. When it says that the moon, Brother Gotcha, when it says when the moon comes in too short, in 26,
I think it is.
26.
I think it's. I think you're referring to is it Joshua 26 when it tells you about if it comes in 10 days too soon.
But no, it also says in the Enoch. Let me get it real quick.
Okay, hold on. I think
it breaks down it breaks it down in days, and it gives you, that the moon has.
Oh, let me check 74. 1 sec. 74.
Okay, here we go. 79.
Okay. There you go.
You can start at verse 1, if you don't mind.
Okay,
Enoch.
Okay, 74 and 1. And now, my son, I have shown thee everything, and the law of all the stars of the heavens is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week, and waning of the moon, which takes place in the sixth portal. For in this sixth portal her light is accomplished. And after that there is the beginning of the waning. And the waning which takes place is the first portal in its season, till 177 days are accomplished. Reckoned according to weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. She falls behind the sun and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period. And when this place which thou seest has been traversed, such is the picture and seeketh of every luminary which Uriel the angel, which is the leader, showed unto me. And in those days the angel, that's the end of it. When it's chapter 8.
80. So jump down. There's more. Let me try to get the one where it talks about that it comes out every year. It comes in short. Hold on. Also, go to the Book of Jubilees, chapter 6. It also talks about that the sun, the moon comes in short every year.
I was looking at. They had a couple of books of Enoch. They got the Robert Charles, Richard Lawrence in 1883 version, and the George H. Skadai in 1882, and the Charles was written in 1913. Which book should I use? The oldest one or the newest?
They're all good.
1913. That was.
Yeah, I like the Charles. Use the Charles. Charles is the best one. Charles is the best one. So you use that one, because that was translated directly from the original tongue with no addition, no commentary or because you have certain scholars, they have different methods of translating. You got certain scholars that translate it word by word, and you have certain scholars that will look at a particular word and philosophizing what they thought they really meant and translate it to that word what they really meant. Other scholars did that. Charles did not do that. So that he's the best to you.
I'm sorry, Charles didn't do what?
J.H. Charles. Robert Charles is the best one.
Okay, because I was looking at, because then it says, because in the George H. Skadai in 1882, Book of Enoch says the moon brings on all the years exactly.
Yeah, he added that. When you go into his history, he was trying to add his commentary into the translation. So Robert Charles is the best one.
Robert Henry Charles?
Robert Henry Charles is the best one because he translated by letter. No commentary.
Okay, the Charles is the newest. That is the that was the newest book.
Right. But he because you got to remember when the Enoch translation started getting popular around the 1800s and being discovered in Ethiopia, for many years the Jewish people was already established. And the entire world thought that the Jewish people was, or the ancient Israelites were following the moon. Why? Because the Jewish Masoretes that came from Europe, the Khazars, they began to follow the lunar Sabbath or the lunar calendar. So the Enoch book went through the same thing that the King James translator went to. There was a lot of hands into it, and there was so you got different versions to try to give you the impression that you can't trust it.
Right,
Robert S. Charles. Yeah, Robert S. Charles was the best one, or is the best one.
That's what I was saying, like, because we use the 1611 because it's closer, it's older, and that's why it confused me because
it's not because it's older, because there is for instance, there's an older version of the 1611 in the 1500s called the Tyndale.
The Tyndale in 1540, right? Or something like that?
Exactly. But they translated a lot of the translation from the Latin Vulgate. See, the King James writer. So it's not. You have to look at two particular variables. What material they translated from? Who translated?
Okay.
What was the political, social environment around that time? And what source did they use? When the Tyndale it was good, but they had some errors because they translated from the Latin Vulgate.
It wasn't translated from Greek and Hebrew. It was translated from the Latin origin.
A lot of it, not all of it. A lot of it was translated from the Latin Vulgate. So it's older than the King James, but it's less accurate than the King James. And so the same thing happened with when they was translating the Book of Enoch as well.
Okay.
And matter of fact, I should maybe do a lesson or a history lesson on that, on the history of the translator of the Book of Enoch, because what happened is that the Book of Enoch always was considered to be a non-authoritative source, and especially because it threatened the lunar calendar, which the Jewish people were following for many years at that time. We're talking about the Khazars were established around the 6th, 7th century. We're talking about the 18th century. They were already among the people as Jewish or following the Jewish religion, using the lunar calendar. Enoch challenged that, but it was not until 1948 when they found, or 1942 or 1943, I forget, 1945. I'm sorry, when they found in the Qumran caves the actual Book of Enoch confirming Charles' translation.
Okay,
exactly.
I was reading the hello?
Yes, I'm here.
I was reading some of the introductions about the Book of Enoch and about our Charles.
Yes.
And the Book of Enoch, the prophet is the oldest known existing mystical document and is referred to in the Hebrew Zohar. The dates and text to intended time saved from the flood by Noah himself, whilst by serious scholars places its origins in the 2nd century BCE, as old as the ancient Samaria and Babylon. It reveals a vision of the new age of heaven and earth that figures that it's as esoteric and occult practices, esoteric and occult practices.
Yeah.
Let's look at the words. Okay, so it says here, esoteric, meaning that is idea. Hold on,
what you're saying. There was a copy of Enoch in Iraq, which is called, ancient Babylon, for many years. Okay, and they also had additional copies like Enoch 2, Enoch 3. Those records were not confirmed because we have now found an original copy, like we did with Enoch 1 in the cave of Qumran. So when the scholars did the translation from when Robert Church he translated from the original Hebrew, and that copy from Aramaic, because in the Aramaic Bible let me finish my thought. let me finish my thought.
Okay.
In the Aramaic Bible, you could or the Aramaic, you found the Enoch book in the Aramaic Bible in the Middle East, like in Africa, like in Ethiopia, which you could still find today. But the other versions, like Enoch 2, Enoch 3, I think there's an Enoch 4. Those were not confirmed. I will not start reading those.
Okay. And, so exotarian, that means like a Satanist or a devil worshiper?
No, exotarian means knowledge, like secret knowledge.
Secret knowledge.
That's all it means, But what you need to that terminology, that term is a term that is used with anything, meaning anything that's secret. You understand?
Okay.
Anything is so. Like for instance, the Bible it will be considered esoteric knowledge, secret knowledge, because why? Nobody reads it. So when you show something in the scripture and you bring that scripture to light, it's no longer hidden. So that's what that means. It just means hidden, knowledge.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, brother. I don't want to take up all your time.
Okay.
I appreciate for the clarity of the knowledge there, and thank you. I'm gonna when you guys upload this, I'm gonna have to listen to you again because there's so much going on.
Yeah, my advice: get a word encyclopedia book. So when you could go and say, okay, what does that word mean? Just look it up.
Okay.
And usually what I do, I got the 1, 2, 3 rule. I go to 3 different sources and look up for the word and see if all 3 sources agreed. Okay, that means it's a pretty good reliable translation. So learning words is very important to understand. For you could answer your own question just by reading the definition of a particular word.
Okay, shalom, brother. I appreciate that.
Okay, bless you, brother. Okay. All right. I think that's it with callers. I don't see. Well, wait a minute. I see. Please press number 1, brother. Okay. I see area code 203-400. You on the air? You on the air? Okay. I guess that was it. All right. So I think that was it, brother Gaja.
Okay.
So
and the chapter you were referring to before, Elder, Enoch 74.
Enoch 74. Yeah, that was it. That when it talks about that the moon comes in 10 days too short.
Yes.
And it loses and in 3 years it will come in 30 days too short.
Yes.
And things of that nature. That's why every 3 years the Jewish calendar has to add an extra month because they use the lunar calendar, proving and verifying Enoch's statement. So it comes in 30 days too short, so therefore you have to add an entire lunar cycle to culminate with the equinox. So the water for that. Yeah. So we had it was a pretty good lesson. It was it was right here exactly. Well, let me read it real quick. It says, and in 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days, and all the days which occur to it for one of those 5 years, when they are filled, amount to 364 days. And the overlaps of the sun of the stars amount of 6 days, and 5 years and 6 years. Every year comes to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity, but complete the year, which with perfect justice in 364 days. So But right now, as we can see, there's even troubles in trying to find that situation, because all we really have is these calculations that we have with these computers that we look at, right? So we have to be even careful with that. That's why we have to trust the elders, that they know what they're doing, that they got our best, interests at heart. And then the Elder Rawchaa is going to be showing how to actually show that the equal day to equal night lands every cycle of 52 weeks, 52 weeks, 52 weeks, 52 weeks every year, and it does not move every single year, despite what is out there. Because what is out there is that they're erring on the and I think I see here Elder Zahar, he's on. I don't know if he press. Let's see here if he's on. I think 6, 7, 8. Let me see if I can see him. Elder Zahar 6, 7, 8. Elder Zahar, you in?
Hey, Brother Shalom, how you doing?
Hey, Shalom, Elder. How we doing? How's everything?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm at work, man, listening and trying to work as well, so I'm going to make it as quick as I can so I can get back to these customers. Just wanted to speak about the Passover coming up.
Yes.
We definitely have a great Passover plan. We're going to be meeting Friday night, Saturday, and part of Sunday. Those brothers and sisters in the Atlanta area or surrounding area that are interested in coming and fellowshipping with us, we still have openings. You can send us an email at GOCCAfrica@gmail, and we'll be sure to get back in contact with you on that. Just wanted to give thanks to you, brother. I hadn't spoken to you in a while, and I just wanted to say hello and get that message out there real quick. Any brothers and sisters in Alabama, South Carolina, or any other surrounding areas, more than welcome to come and fellowship with us. And the cost is $50, but don't $50 for individuals, $80 for families, up to 5 people. But we've got enough space. We can even help out with rooms. Possibly for those that are coming from a faraway distance to sort of cut down on prices. So that being said, please, everybody, definitely get out to these Passovers where we're having them at New York, California, Texas, Georgia, and everybody have a blessed holiday, brother. And Elder, I'll speak to you soon, all right?
Okay, bless you, brother. Good, always hearing your voice. Keep doing the good work over there in Atlanta, Georgia. Absolutely. So, Brother Gaja, any last thoughts?
Good show, good information here. Go back and have a listen to it. I can't wait for Elder Rawchaa to do the class again. I think we did a few classes on the breakdown of the time. So if there's more information there, it should be a blessing. And let me see next. We should have one more show before Passover, most I willing. So I'll see everybody next week. Elder Gabar, you look after yourself and the family over there. I'll talk to you soon, man. Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Kwam Yasha'Allah.
Praise the Most High for this very golden moment. I thank Him for keeping my eyes open when the enemy blinds and tries not to close them. Even though my everything is stolen, I'm holding on to the word of the truth. It's about that time for us to wake up the youth so they can realize